Hi, this is Paul. I just wanted to make a quick video commenting, not this time on a couple of websites, but a couple of other videos about Jordan Peterson that I saw this morning. One of the videos, Deconstructing Jordan Peterson by Neil Griffiths. Apparently he's a British author. I thought this was one of the best, clearest videos that I've seen on Peterson that summarizes his social and political agenda. A couple of things, I noticed right away he called him an Augustinian, which caught my interest, and I thought his arguments were clear and precise. His illustration of if a Nazi comes up to you in a canteen, I suppose that's like a British coffee shop canteen, and wants to talk about and says he's a neo-Nazi, how would you respond? Versus if someone comes up and says he's a Marxist, how would you respond? That's just a really interesting thought experiment that shows kind of the lay of the land right now in our cultures. And I thought there are a lot of videos that come up talking about Jordan Peterson. I thought this was one of the better ones, and a viewer sent this recommendation to me, and that was cool, so I really appreciated it. Another one that I saw this morning was Dennis Prager's interview with Jordan Peterson. It was pretty short, and towards the end of it, it was interesting because Prager asks him, "Are you religious?" And I thought, and Peterson, after a moment's pause, says yes. And I thought, this is a great example of how the place that you're approaching someone from defines the terms that you're using. I can very much understand why Jordan Peterson would call himself religious. And it's very interesting, though, that that's the term that Prager uses. Now, the hypothesis that I've been working and presented in a number of my videos is that the culture war in the West is actually a war between two civil religions, and both of these civil religions are, in a sense, Christian heresies. They are reduced. I don't know if they reach the level of ideology, but they are Christian heresies. And so part of the argument that I think Sam Harris and others are making who would be not religious is that the ascendant morality of what I think is fundamentally a reduction of Christianity into this oppressor, oppressee. It's kind of it's related to liberation theology. It's very much in that stream. So that's kind of the ascendant civil religion in the West right now. And Prager very much embodies the Cold War civil religion. And in the Cold War civil religion, where you were fighting godless communists, to be religious was important. And so for Americans put "In God We Trust" and "One Nation Under God" into the Pledge of the Allegiance at that moment. So that old civil religion in the West, especially in the United States, that took deep root in a lot of American churches and is still present, flags up in churches and this kind of thing, that, God and country. This is kind of the old style Cold War civil religion, and Prager very much embodies that when he says, "I knew you were religious." But I'd like to say, well, what do you mean by that, Prager? Because you mean something by it. And Peterson says, yes, he's religious, but he means something very different by it. Now, you and Peterson may very well be aligned in terms of some of your political agenda, but Prager is still in some ways fighting the Cold War and all of the battles that are in that. So then when Peterson comes up and he's criticizing Marxism, well, it makes a world of sense because Prager's going to align with him in that. But this question of religious, I mean, part of the issue that's going on with the ascendant morality of the new civil religion on the left is that it's very much a religion, and that's where Sam Harris and others come into play and say, hey, wait a minute, you're hurting science, and you're hurting science on the basis of the dogmas, the religious dogmas that you're using. Now, these are not traditional religious dogmas. These are, in some senses, secular religious dogmas, but they are in fact religious. And so Prager's definition of, okay, you're religious, is a framework that doesn't really fit the contemporary perspective. So I saw both of these videos and I thought they were important. Again, the Neil Griffiths video I thought was, he just nails things one after another, boom, 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 and puts it in a really interesting way. Prager, I think, is talking to talking to a situation that went out when the Berlin Wall fell and when the Twin Towers fell, because obviously those who attacked the United States were deeply religious, and that motivated their attack. So we need to up the resolution on that conversation and ask ourselves, okay, what do you mean by religious? So there are my thoughts.